And welcome to Algarve for the final race of the first round of this 2022 Spanish Formula 4 Championship. As you see, cars leave the grid now, get their installation laps in their final laps around before their last race in Angra this weekend. And we've had quite a fascinating insight this weekend already to the nature of how this championship may go, and we can really see some of the markers for the title certainly coming out in force. As we look towards a truly fascinating season. After two races leading the standings is Stanislav Paul Intrapufasak with 45 points ahead of Australia's Hugh Barter with 37. Third in the standings is Timotheus Kakarczyk with 30 points. With fourth, Philippe Janik, the second-year driver, with 26. Fifth in the standings after these first two rounds is Zuleman Zanfari with 18. And the weather has been good all weekend, and traditionally it's you don't often see poor weather during the racing season at Portimao, situated right on the southern tip of Portugal, about 20 kilometers or so from the town of Faro. A fantastic circuit opened in 2009. So much elevation, challenging corners, quick sweeps, but also some tight, twisty technical sections too. And we look now to the grid for this race. Nicolas Solov will start from pole position. He set two very good lap times in qualifying one. He's going to be ahead of Timotheus Kakarczyk. Then Valerio Rinicello starting third again. He'll be hoping to get some points out of this event, while Hugh Barter goes from fourth on the grid. Having won race one yesterday, he'll be hoping for a similar result for this event, although he did start fourth for the morning race and in the end finished fourth, having run in second place for quite a while. But we'll have a full run through the order in a few moments time as we see cars, as mentioned, just they're going through the pits, doing some additional laps, just getting the last checks in. Of course, they ran at this time of the day yesterday, so they have a pretty good knowledge, and the conditions are relatively the same, so they've got pretty good knowledge of the conditions of the car, the conditions of the circuit in around this time. Although there will be a little bit more rubber and some dirty rubber, it must be said, on the ground for this race. There's only one more event after this particular race. We've had lots of running, including the final DTMs and TCR races this weekend, with TCR just finished a few moments ago. So there's going to be a lot of dirt and debris lying around. But in saying that, this being the shorter sprint race of the weekend, 18 minutes plus one lap. See Ricardo Escotto there in the Cram Pinnacle entry. There is less time to really make your way up the order, so if you are going to try and go for moves in this shorter race, you better make them count, and you better make them quickly. So you see cars continue to make their way around the circuit, and I have to actually point out, for those eagle-eyed of you, that yes, this is the shorter sprint race of the weekend. Because we are actually working to a DTM weekend, the primary championship racing at Portimao this weekend, we are kind of operating to their schedule, as it were. So there's a bit of a change around in order to accommodate a lot of the other races that are competing this weekend. So we actually had race 3 first thing this morning, and we're watching race 2 now. Race 2, of course, being the grid for the race 2 being set by the second best times in qualifying. You see the number 23 Kirill Smal entry for MP Motorsport, making his way to 14th on the grid. So the grid for this session was set by the second best times in qualifying 1 yesterday. All the races you see in Spanish Formula 4 are set by qualifying times, so no reverse grids, no grids set by fastest laps or any of that kind of stuff. All the grids you see in this championship are set by drivers going absolutely flat out in qualifying, the way it should be. Drivers have done their laps through the pits, and coming to screen there is the Formula de Campaños entry, Jorge Campos, his second season in this category. And lining up at the front of the order in the blue number 12 machine, this is Nicola Solov for Campos Racing. And you may see a little insignia just behind, it's gone out of picture now, but just on the engine cover, Alpine Academy. And Solov is very much a member of the Alpine F1 Academy, hoping to look to a future in Formula 1 at some stage down the line. Second on the grid, Timotheus Kakarczyk. He's had 2 third places this weekend. He did cross the line in second place for this morning's event, but unfortunately track limits received a penalty which dropped him down to third. Valerio Rinicella was running third very well in race 1 yesterday, but unfortunately broke his front wing and had to pit, and ended recording the result well down the order. For this morning's race, he finished 7th. And then 4th on the grid, Hugh Barter, second in the standings at this point. The number 68 entry for Campos Racing, won yesterday and was running very, very well this morning until passed by an absolutely defiant Filip Jenik and Timotheus Kakarczyk, and spent a lot of the rest of the race fighting off Nicola Solov and later, earlier, Suleiman Zanfari. And that was Inter Puvazak there, 5th on the grid for MP Motorsport, leading the championship at the moment. This is Suleiman Zanfari, another second season driver for MP Motorsport, 6th on the grid. And he is currently running 5th in the standings. He'll be hoping to get more solid points in this final race. Christian Ho starting 7th on the grid. He's been fairly consistent all weekend, generally running towards the lower mid section of the points. He didn't score in the end this morning. He had a clash with Bruno Del Pino towards the end of this morning's race. He was running in the points, and that left him in the pit lane, unfortunately. Here's Filip Jenik, 8th on the grid for Campos Racing. You may be noticing a little bit of a pattern here with the grid how it's formed. And here's George Kelstrup, the number 29 car for Campos Racing. So all the top 9 cars on the grid are formed by either Campos Racing and MP Motorsport. Really have a bit of a stranglehold on the grid, as it were. And it is going to be Bruno Del Pino in the DriveX entry, the first non-Campos, non-MP Motorsport entry. He starts 10th on the grid, followed by Monlau Motorsport's Robert De Haan. And Maxim Arkanchelski rounds out the top 12, also for DriveX. 30 runners this season. This championship has really taken a step up, and it's encouraging, because normally with SEM championships, when we get in new cars, as we have this year, it can sometimes be a struggle to get those numbers up for the following season. But Spanish Formula 4 really has outshone many of its counterparts. So we have 30 drivers this weekend. At the moment, it looks like we have 29 for the full season. Noel Lyle, by the way, is just here to get more seat time as he competes in British Formula 4. But we are expecting another team to join around Spa. That is Santilok Racing, the team more famously who run in GT racing. They have tested, and they have 3 cars, I believe, but they will continue to work and run in those cars until they are ready to go, which, as I said, we believe is going to be Spa. The 15-second board goes up, and as the drivers get ready to pull away from the grid, we will run through the starting order. And from the rear of the field, as the cars move away from their slots. Lola Lovenfoss starts last for Tio Martin Motorsport in the 1 minute 48.2. She's the number 10 entry you see on screen now. 29th on the grid, Miran Pinkasov at MP Motorsport. Disappointing qualifying for him, just behind Danny Nogales in the Tio Martin Motorsport, and Gail Julien starting 27 for DriveX. Jesse Carrascado from 26th on the grid for Campos Racing alongside Manuel Espirito Santo, the Tio Martin Motorsport entry. He didn't finish this morning's race. Jorge Campos will be getting away from 24th for Formula de Campinos, just alongside Sebastian Gravlund, 23rd for MP Motorsport. 22nd on the grid will be Anshul Gandhi, the Cram Pinnacle entry, with GRS's Lucas Malek starting 21st on row 10. Ricardo Grazia for GRS entry, he's 20th alongside Max Meyer on the Formula de Campinos car. And then row 9, you got Vladislav Ryabov for GRS and Jeff Mackels from 17th on the grid, my apologies, in the Monlau Van Amersfoort entry. Alvaro Garcia starts 16th in the Formula Campanos car alongside Ricardo Escoto. That's 15th on the grid. 14th is Kirill Small for MP Motorsport with Noah Lyle in his one-round entry, starting 13th. Good effort by him. Maxim Arkanchelski starts 12th in the DriveX machine with Robert DeHaan 11th on the grid. He was showing some very good pace this morning. He'll be hoping to continue that as we go into this race. Bruno Del Pino, DriveX, starts out the 10th position with George Kelstrup running 9th for Campos Racing. Then Philippe Jenik, 8th on the grid with a 1 minute 46.018. Christian Ho, 0.003 of a second quicker, earns him 7th on the grid for his MP Motorsport car. Zulaiman Senfari, 6th on the grid, also for MP Motorsport, alongside this morning's race winner, Tesanapol Intrapuvishak. That's 5th on the grid for him, the championship leader at the moment. Hugh Barter, 4th on the grid for Campos Racing, 2nd in the standings, race winner yesterday. Valerio Rinacella, 3rd on the grid for MP Motorsport, and that rounds out the second row of the grid. And on the front of the field, Timotheus Kachashik for MP Motorsport at 1 minute 45.651, and he forms up just behind the car in blue. You see they're coming into picture as they come onto the start-finish straight of Nikola Solov for Campos Racing at 1 minute 45.214. Now, Solov has had 2 disappointing starts this weekend. He stalled from pole position yesterday, climbed his way back up to 14th, and he had a sluggish start this morning, fell down to 9th, ended up coming home 5th. Will he get his start spot on at the 3rd time of asking? As the cars now pull into their slots. It's the number 10 entry, Lola Lovenfoss, at the rear of the order. And when she pulls into her grid slot, the marshal at the rear of the field will go across this track, as she is now, with the green flag, wave it, and the lights will come on, and we will count down to the beginning of race 3 this weekend. And it is away, and for once Solov does get a good start, but Kakarchik gets a slightly better one and pulls into the lead. Rinacella into 3rd place, but Hugh Barter goes around the outside and takes 3rd place, and now he's challenging Solov for 2nd place. Kakarchik leads, and it's a locked wheel there from Solov. Desperately brake on the brakes to try and keep Barter back, and he does for the moment, but that will damage his tyres for the 18 minutes plus 1 lap remaining. And Kakarchik, a very, very, very good start, and he's trying to defend from Solov into the hairpin, and does. Solov maintaining the gap to Kaharchik, but also keeping Barter behind. Then a quartet of MP Motorsport entries, starting with Rinacella, then Intrapuvazak, then Sanfari, then Christian Ho, who was in 8th place. And Escoto trying to make a move down the inside there in the middle of the pack. That is for 16th. But Kaharchik concurrently leads from Solov, with Barter in 3rd place. But the MP Motorsport drivers just behind are not letting go in any way, shape or form. And we're seeing Rinacella looking for a way around the outside of Hugh Bartlett. And we have a spinner, and it is, I believe that's Jeff Mackles, has gone off the circuit, and that will most likely be a yellow flag, possibly a safety car. If he is properly beached in the gravel, that will require marshals to get out and recover him. Rinacella is still challenging, however. We've not seen... And, ooh, that was several cars actually in the background. There's going to be a bit of damage there. Not entirely sure who the other spinner was. Gravland, Sebastian Gravland has entered the pit lane, so he may have been one of the cars involved. But meanwhile, back on circuit, lap 2. No yellow flags as such. It may well have been cleared in time, where the drivers may well have cleared themselves. Kucharczyk continues to lead from Solov. Barter in 3rd place. Rinacella in 4th. Intrapruvasak is currently in 5th position, ahead of Zanfari and Christian Ho. And a little bit of a gap now developing between Barter and Intrapruvasak. That is the number 18, Jorge Campos, and not a great weekend. And as Mackill's still buried very much in the gravel, I'm surprised we have not had some sort of a slow zone introduced. And we do have a safety car now. Safety car, and the field will bunch up. And a very, very disappointed Jeff Mackill's involved in a 3-car collision that also saw Gravland, Sebastian Gravland, take a bit of damage and go into the gravel. We see the other into this Jorge Campos entry there. Beached. Tricky weekend for the Monlau Motorsport racers, but without no word of a not to be overly difficult for them, but they are a learning team. It is actually cars run by Van Amersfoort Racing, and the team itself, it's an affiliation project from Monlau Motorsport, so it's actually kind of junior engineers working on that car and mechanics. As we see a replay of the start. Solov has finally got the start right. It just seemed Kucharczyk was better this time around. And the safety car out on circuit. That was a very, very good start from the what was effectively the dirtier side of the grid. And there's the replay of Gravland, which just gone out of picture there. You got Jorge Campos, who's actually running backwards, and just out of shot is Jeff Michaels. And a very, very disappointed Jorge Campos, ruined this weekend. Really, he was hoping for far more than this. So Solov leads, and there was an overtake just slightly off screen as we were watching some of the drivers go off circuit. Kucharczyk, marshals having a bit of a ding-dong as to how to get rid of the car. Kucharczyk currently in 2nd place ahead of Barter. Intrapruvasak in 4th, Zanfari 5th. Got ahead of Rinacella, who's now down in 6th place. And Robert De Haan, the other Monlau Motorsport entry, currently running in 7th place. He got ahead of Christian Ho. And Kirill Smal is 9th ahead of Philip Jenik, currently 10th. That rounds out the top 10. We still see Jorge Campos there. And they're trying to get rid of the car. This may take a few moments. So they're having to get rid of the cars separately. And it's difficult for them to move, because I think there's actually a damaged left rear wheel there on Campos's car. So it's actually proving trickier to move aside than it would normally be. There's 11 minutes, just over 11 minutes plus 1 lap of this race still to go. So one of the race photographers. Now, if you're wondering, yes, helmets for a lot of photographers are actually mandatory. The reason being, several photographers also work in the pit lane, and they do need we do need head protection when wandering in the pit lane. So if it looks a bit odd, they actually have to do it. There's a message in the chat there. It's no onboards. There isn't any onboards for broadcast in Spanish Formula 4. Normally, this is something that was introduced several years ago in European Formula 3. The cars will have onboards, but it's generally for post-race analysis for the teams, and often sometimes used by the stewards for any investigations post-race. The footage recorded on the onboards is actually held on hard drives, and if needs be examined post-race for an incident, the footage will be collected and examined, but mostly it's actually for the teams when they're going through debriefs. So they can run through onboards with the drivers, and it's time-stamped to actually match the telemetry that's recorded as well. Jeff Mackel's car is being pulled away. You can see the right rear quite severely deranged. It'll be a slow process. They're going to get him to the nearest exit point on circuit. And that's pretty much why Mackels is still in the car. He's been pulled along, but he's effectively steering it. So that incident under turn 10 is under investigation. And if any penalties were adjudged to be awarded, we probably would not see them until the next round. It's in Jerez in just about 4 weeks' time, over the weekend of May the 28th to 29th, and you can tune in to the Spanish Formula 4 YouTube channel and the Spanish Formula 4 Twitch page to watch those races as well, both English language and Spanish. Hopefully we're going ahead with a resumption for this race very shortly. As we come into the hairpin, and the cars effectively have been cleared now. As you see, Mackels out of his car, and there you can see we're really waiting for Mackels to get his car behind the safety barrier, which now has been done, and his safety car is in this lap. What we'll see is we'll see the field kind of close together, Solov at the front of it, Kakarchik in second place, Barter third, Interpuvizak in fourth. The safety car will then pull away, its lights will go out, and it will pull away, and the field will combine. And then we will be getting going. You'll see the safety car really floor it. I would love to know who the safety car driver is. I simply don't know this weekend. I should have asked. It's actually the first time this weekend we've seen the safety car, which is quite positive in itself. The racing, the action, the control between the drivers has generally been very, very, very good, very positive stuff. And as you can see there, the safety car lights are out there speeding off into the distance, and now you have Nikola Solov weaving around, keeping heat in the tires, keeping heat in the brakes, waiting for this race to get going. There's only 6 minutes plus 1 lap of this race remaining. Solov is waiting to go. There's a couple of right-handers hill, then we get to the crest of the hill, we go downhill, and Solov is gone. Puts his foot down through the final corner, and Solov leads this race as it restarts. Kuharczyk in second place, but we're seeing Inter-Pruvasak challenge Barter for third place. Zanfari is also there, also is Rinicella, but is Inter-Pruvasak going to go around the outside of turn 1, challenges 2 towards the bottom of the top 10. And I do believe that was Kirill Small challenging Christian Ho over 8th and 9th positions. Some locked wheels in the pack. And Solov continues to lead. Ahead of Kuharczyk, Barter still fending off the MP Motorsport attack from behind. But the MP Motorsport drivers are also fighting amongst themselves over 4th, 5th and 7th, the exception being the DriveX entry of Bruno Del Pino. Oh, sorry, that's not actually, that is the Monlau Motorsport entry of Robert De Haan, my mistake. In 6th place, just infiltrated that MP Motorsport pack. But the leading 2 are stretching away from Hugh Barter, who will not be overly displeased if he can keep Inter-Pruvasak behind him. Inter-Pruvasak, and that is Zanfari has actually passed Inter-Pruvasak for 4th and 5th place. Hugh Barter will be slightly delighted with that, as he closes the gap. Will allow him potentially to close the gap through the Thai driver in the standings, but obviously he is a racer. He wants to... Oh, we do have a collision in the back of the field. That is one of the GRS entries. That is Vladislav Ryabov. He's gone. That is actually quite a significant crash. He's gone over the rear of the number 30, who's Gael Julian. Quite a bit of damage, and you can definitely see Ryabov's right front is severely damaged. That's going to be a safety car. Absolutely no doubt that's going to be a safety car, because there's no way those drivers are going to be moved. But we're still having fighting as we come across the start-finish line. The drivers are out of the cars. And damage to the front of Gael Julian's car. Yes, a safety car. So I've no idea if Gael Julian's actually hit someone else as well, but that is, and yes, I'm assuming that because we've seen the number 77, Ricardo Escoto, also go into the pits. And another driver at the back, and that is Ricardo Grazia in the GRS entry. So 2 GRS cars damaged in that incident. So Ryabov was spun around, and then he gets hit. Oh my word! That is a very, very scary incident. So Ryabov was spun around. I think that may have been Escoto that hit him, and then in a separate incident, Gael Julian gets hit from behind. Wow. So 2 accidents really in one has come to effectively eliminate 4 cars. I do not see this race getting going again with only 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. The safety car is out. 2 cars, severely damaged cars. It's going to take quite a while to move them. In fact, I really don't imagine they're going to be able to move Ryabov's car at all without getting a truck on the circuit. And I was absolutely stunned. They move, Julian, both of Julian's rear wheels are quite significantly hit in that. I would be absolutely stunned if this race gets going again. I do not see this. An awful lot of damage on the circuit, and you have 2 very, very stranded cars. I just don't see how they're going to clear Vladislav Ryabov's car in time. But that really was a scary incident for Ryabov. This is his second season in Spanish Formula 4. Competed last year also with GRS. Picked up several podiums on his way to 8th in the standings. It's not been the start of the season that he wanted. It's struggled to get into the order to score points. Cars following the safety car around. There's 1 minute left on the clock. Nikola Solov leads this race. Timotheus Kakarczyk second place. Hugh Barter third. Zulaiman Zanfari fourth. Tesanapol Interpuvacak in fifth. Good effort today as well by Robert de Haan, currently sixth place. They are clearing, they're dragging that car. Well, you can't knock the marshals here. They're working very, very hard. And we are going to get a one-lap shootout. Fantastic. We're going to get a one-lap shootout. They absolutely dragged Ryabov's GRS entry off the track, irrespective of its condition. So safety car in this lap. It's a one-lap shootout. Solov leads. Kakarczyk is currently second place. Barter is third. Zanfari fourth. And we are go one lap to decide this race. Solov once again gets a very, very good start. The challenge goes between the two MP Motorsport cars in fourth and fifth positions. Interpuvacak is looking to take Zanfari for fourth, but it may even get Hugh Barter at this rate as they come into turn one. And Hugh Barter locks up, goes wide, tries to hold the position, doesn't quite. The MP Motorsport drivers have the inside line, but will Barter drop to fifth, or will he just fall to fourth? And that is Interpuvacak just behind, so Zanfari now moves up into the podium positions. Hugh Barter fourth, and Interpuvacak is currently in fifth, but he's going to take fourth this time around. He has the inside line as they go on the exit. Robert de Haan in sixth place is actually looking to take Interpuvacak as well, as Barter holds the tie driver off. But can Barter retake third place? He can't quite yet. Zanfari has the advantage. Interpuvacak keeps de Haan at bay. Meanwhile, Solov and Kakarczyk continue to lead away. Barter has limited opportunities now to retake third position, but he does lock his wheels. And de Haan really pushing to get into the top five. Barter trying any different line he possibly can to upset Zanfari, maybe push away through, as we see de Haan still challenging Interpuvacak. But out front, as they come over the hill, it's Nikola Solov. Exit the final corner, down the hill, up the crest. And he will cross the finish line to take his first win of the season. Timotheus Kakarczyk takes second, Zanfari third, Barter fourth, Interpuvacak fifth, de Haan sixth. Seventh is Kirill Small, eighth Rinnicella, ninth Bruno Del Pino, and 10th place Maxim Arkachelski. And Solov also takes the fastest lap of this race, so he'll get a bonus point for that. 18 points for the win and a bonus one for the fastest lap. And after two poor starts this weekend, he will be very, very delighted to take that. And we've had some incidents in this race and a couple of safety cars. So we didn't really get a huge amount of racing laps, but what racing laps we did have were full of action. And an absolutely delighted Nicholas Olive, and so he should be. Celebrating his first win. He took pole for 2 races yesterday, so he has shown pace. He actually scored the fastest lap as well in race 1, but because he finished outside the top 10, was unable to claim the points for it. And we see the order now. Nicholas Olive for Campos Racing takes the win ahead of Timothy Kacharczyk. MP Motorsport, Zulaiman Zanfari claims a podium for MP Motorsport. I need to check that. I believe that might be his first podium in Spanish Formula 4. Hugh Barter, 4th place, as he was in the earlier morning race. Tassana Paul, Inter-Pruvasac starts, comes home 5th for MP Motorsport. Robert DeHaan, 6th. And Kirill Small, 7th. Valerio Rinicella, 8th. And those rounds out the points scoring positions for race 2. This is going to be a very relieved young man, a very relieved Alpine Academy junior, getting some significant points on the board. And he celebrates out of his car, on the nose, arms in the air, one finger up, and waiting for his mechanics to meet him. Fantastic job for the Campos Racing entry. And that's good too for Campos Racing. 2 wins this weekend compared to 1 win for MP Motorsport. That's Zanfari. And yes, this is his first podium in Spanish Formula 4. Zulaiman Zanfari, we actually seen Nicholas Olive there on screen in number 12 blue machine as he comes out of the final corner to take the checkered flag. The MP Motorsport mechanics celebrating, taking 2 of the 3 podium spots. So there's a third podium for Kacharczyk this weekend. A 2nd and 2 third places. As you see the winner on screen, Nicholas Olive. Fantastic job. Took the lead from Kacharczyk just before the first safety car came out. It does close up the championship standings somewhat at the end of this first round. Solov celebrating with his mechanics. Job very, very well done. Some relief, I'm absolutely certain. We wait now for the podium celebrations. Zanfari takes to the 3rd step on the podium. He'll be absolutely delighted. The Moroccan racer, his first podium in Spanish Formula 4. That is a massive relief for him. And 2nd, the Richard Mille Talent Academy winner from 2021, Timoteusz Kacharczyk. And on the top step of the grid, Nicholas Olive. Fantastic job.
Team on the podium from Spain, Campos Racing. Once again, congratulations. And now, I would say it's time for the national anthem to honor Nikola Tsolov from Bulgaria the anthem, please. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the trophies, and we start with the third place one from Morocco, Sulaiman. He gets his trophy, I hope. Yes, here we go. Trophy for third place in the third race of the season. Congratulations. The trophy for our second place driver, Timoteusz Kochaczyk from Poland. Congratulations. And here, ladies and gentlemen, is the big pot for the winner, Nikola Tsolov. Congratulations. And now there's one trophy left. It's for the winning team from Spain, Campos Racing. Well-deserved trophy. Congratulations to you as well. Now please guys, get together. Now we have some photos to make the guys happy, to have something for the family album. And when everyone has his photo, I'd say after a long, hard and hot race, it's time for champagne!
While the drivers celebrate their successes, it's an update on the standings. Inter Pupazak continues to lead with 51 points ahead of Hugh Barter with 45. Third in the standings is Kochaczyk for 42. Ahead of Tsolov, now fourth in the standings with 29 points. Zanfari fifth with 28. We do have some incidents which are currently under investigation. The turn 10 incident from earlier on and the turn 13 incident towards the end of the race will be investigated. If any penalties applied, we will see them in Jerez in a few weeks' time. And that round at Jerez on May 28th to 29th. Please join us once again for Spanish Formula 4. My name's been Leo Gorman. Thanks again, and until then, let's keep racing.